Alright everyone, welcome back. I'm surprised too. No, since I saw it from a distance, I can tell better than her that the attack just now was a strange one. The lance was definitely aimed at her feet, but it suddenly changed its course, moving strangely in an impossible direction and pierced the girl's heart. But the lance itself has not grown or bent. It looks so natural that it makes one think that the lance was already in her heart, and for that reason, it's strange. It's not as simple as the lance changing its course and piercing her heart. The lance did not change its course but changed the means so that the result would be so. The lance thrust with that name carried the result of piercing her heart as a premise. In other words, the process and the result were reversed. As long as there was a result of the lance piercing her heart, the course of the lance was merely something added later to prove that fact. An evil thorn that breaks through all defenses. A lance that pierces the heart every time it's used. A weapon that determines your fate just by its use. How can anyone block such a ridiculous attack? However, the enemy tries to dodge it, the lance will pierce their heart without fail. That's why this move is fatal. A cursed lance that always pierces the opponent with one thrust. But the girl has evaded it by a small margin. She's wounded, but it was not a fatal blow. In a sense, her actions were impossible than the lance. The instant the lance was thrust, she turned and jumped back with all her might as if she knew this was going to happen. Either she has incredible luck or enough divine protection to nullify the curse of the lance. She actually has both. Either way, she avoided a fatal blow and sullied the lance's name. The girl catches her breath. The blood that was running so much has stopped, and even her stab wound is healing. I guess that's extraordinary. I knew she wasn't normal, but still, that's too strange. Like her skills to fight against Lancer, like the incredible magical energy in each of her blows, and like her body that heals by itself, this girl clearly surpasses Lancer. But that was only up till now. Even if it's healing, her wound is deep. If Lancer attacks her now, she'll be defeated without even being able to defend herself. But with this overwhelming advantage, Lancer doesn't move. He glares at the girl, grinding his teeth so hard that I can hear it.
かわしたな、セイバー。我が必殺のゲイボルクを。
A voice that seems to echo from the ground.
ゲイボルク。オミはアイルランドの光の巫女か。
Lancer frowns. His hostility disappears and he clucks his tongue in annoyance.
ドジったぜ。こいつを出すからには必殺でなけりゃやばいってのにな。まったく。有名すぎるのも考えものだ。
I'm trying to remember if this Lancer's identity is Kukulane. I think it is. Either that or I'm confusing him for the other Lancer from Fate Zero. The pressure goes away. Lancer doesn't even attack the wounded girl and simply turns his back and moves to the edge of the yard.
己の正体を知られた以上、どちらかが消えるまでやり合うのがサーバントのセオリーだが、あいにくうちの雇い主は臆病者でな。槍が交わされたのなら帰ってこい、なんて抜かしやがる。
逃げるのか、ランサー。
ああ、追ってくるのなら構わんぞ、セイバー。ただし、その時は決死の覚悟を抱いてこい。
With one bound, Lancer easily jumps over the wall and disappears.
待て、ランサー。
The wounded girl starts running to pursue the enemy.
バカかあいつ。
I run through the yard with all my strength. The girl will go after him if I don't stop her instantly. But there is no need for that. When the girl tries to jump over the wall, she clenches her chest and stops her teeth. Well, it's not that far from it either. I run to her and stare at her. No, I try to approach her to call out to her, but I forget about it the instant I come near her. To put it simply, everything about her is absurd. Now that I'm near her, I can tell that the shining armor she wears is really heavy. The old-fashioned cloth is smooth, a vivid blue. No, that isn't what fascinates me. The girl who seems to be a few years younger than me is beautiful. The golden hair lit by the moonlight is finely textured, as if sprinkled with gold dust. the face with some sign of naivety, has elegance, and her white skin looks soft. I can't call out to her because I'm fascinated by her beauty, and also for another reason.
なんで
Because seeing the girl fighting and getting hurt somehow made me mad. All the while I'm fascinated with her, the girl has her hand on her chest. But that ends quickly. The girl lets her chest go and looks up as if the pain has gone away. She stares directly at me. I'm not sure how I should talk to her, but I noticed something about her.
傷がなくなってる
Even though it missed her heart, that lance stabbed her in the chest, but she's unscathed. I've heard of healing magics, but I didn't see her using anything like that. So that must mean even if she gets wounded, she automatically heals. Then my brain switches gear. This is no time to be fascinated by her. She's a strange being. I can't let my guard down until I know what she is.
お前何者だ
I take a half step back and ask her.
何者も何もセーバーのサーバントです。あなたが私を呼び出したのですから確認をするまでもないでしょう。
セイバーのサーバント
はい。ですから私のことはセーバーと。
She replies without hesitation. Her tone is polite yet gentle, and just hearing it makes my head go blank. Hey, what am I getting excited about?
そうか変な名前だな
I hide my burning face in my hand and reply really stupidly. I don't know what else to say. I wouldn't know of any such thing to say, since I asked her name. Isn't it natural for her to introduce herself? In that case, it would be impolite to stay silent like this.
俺はシロエミヤシロって言ってこの家の人間だ
What am I doing? Are my answers getting stupider? But she told me her name, so I should answer too. No, technically, she told you her class, not really her name. I know I'm confused right now, but I have to be polite no matter who this is. The Shiro way. Or is it the Emiya way? The girl, Saber, just stares at me without changing her expression.
いや違う今のはなしだ聞きたいのはそういうことでなくてつまりだな
分かっています。あなたは正規のマスターではないのですね。
ね
You would be correct on that one.
しかしそれでもあなたは私のマスターです。契約を交わした以上あなたを裏切りはしない。そのように警戒する必要はありません。
Crap. I can hear her words, but they make no sense to me. All I know is that she's calling me with a ridiculous word like master.
それは違う俺マスターなんて名前じゃないぞ
それでは素人。ええ、私としてはこの発音の方が好ましい。
As soon as she says my name, I think my face lit up on fire. Shouldn't you call someone by their last name on a first meeting?
ちょっと待てなんだってそっちの方
Pain suddenly runs through my left hand. The back of my hand is burning. My hand feels like it's in a fire, and on it is a strange mark that looks like a tattoo.
それは霊樹と呼ばれるものです、シロ。私たちサーバントを律する3つの命令権であり、マスターとしての命でもある。むやみな使用は避けるように。
お前
Before I can finish with "Are you?", the air around her changes.
シロ、傷の治療を。
She speaks in a cold voice. It seems her attention is on something far away, behind the wall and not on me.
待てまさか俺に言ってるのか悪いけどそんな難しい魔術は知らないしそれにもう治ってるじゃないかそれ
Saber frowns a bit. I think I said something really wrong there.
ではこのままで臨みます。自動修復は外面を覆っただけですが、あと一度の戦闘ならば支障はないでしょう。
あと一度って何を
外の敵は2人。この程度の重圧なら数秒で倒しうる相手です。
Saying so, Saber jumps lightly. Just like Lancer, she leaps over the wall and disappears outside. Ah, this is where she fights Archer and meets with Tohsaka for the first time. I'm left alone in the yard.
外に敵？
As soon as I say it aloud, I realize what it means.
ちょっと待て、まだ戦うっていうのかお前。
My body starts to move. Without thinking, I run to the gate with full force. I run to the gate, unlock it with trembling hands, and jump outside.
サイバー、どこだ？
I search through the dark. The moon is hidden, now of all times, and it's completely dark. But I hear something nearby.
そこか。
I run to the small road with no sign of anyone on it. It all happens in an instant. Saber is confronting a familiar guy in red. Saber runs at the man in red without hesitation, takes his guard down with one blow, and easily slashes the man in red. Saber raises her arm to finish him off, but right before the man in red's neck is slashed, he disappears as a powerful magic is cast. Saber doesn't stop. She dashes to the person behind the man in red and easily cuts off the large spell. The person launches. I knew she was strong, but this is overwhelming. That spell right now is at a level of intervention magic that I cannot even compare with. Father could use one as strong as that, but to cast a natural intervention of that power instantly, I don't think even a first-class magus could do so. But Saber nullified even that master-class magic. The enemy must be a magus, as the match is decided right there. The magus' attacks are no use against Saber, and she mercilessly attacks the magus. The sound of someone falling backwards. The magus has miraculously dodged Saber's blow, but the enemy now cannot move. Saber corners the enemy and points her invisible sword. My mind freezes. Probably because the moon lights up the scene for an instant, I can tell that the figure Saber is pointing at is a human. I can't tell who it is, but the image of Saber killing someone and getting splattered with blood pops into my head. Saber moves. She will pierce the enemy's throat with the thing in her hand.
やめろ、セイバー！
I scream as loud as I can. Her sword stops. Thank God I can't see her sword. The end of her invisible sword isn't wet with the enemy's blood.
やめろ。頼むからやめてくれ、セイバー。
I address her, glaring, preparing myself to do my best to stop her.
なぜ止めるのですシロ。彼女はアーチャーのマスターです。ここで仕留めておかなければ。
No, Saber has no intention of stopping. She only stopped because I said so, and she's ready to bring her sword down at any time.
だから待てって。人のことをマスターだとか言ってるけど、こっちは点でわからないんだ。俺をそんな風に呼ぶんなら、少しは説明するのが筋ってもんだろう。
Saber doesn't answer. She only stares at me in silence.
順番が違うだろう、セイバー。俺はまだお前が何なのか知らない。けど話してくれるなら聞くから、そんなことはやめてくれ。
Saber is silent. Still pointing her sword at the fallen enemy, she looks at me discontentedly.
そんなこととはどのようなことか。あなたはむやみに人を傷つけるな、などという理想論を挙げるのですか。
え？
Not hurting anyone unnecessarily. Well, it is true that we should avoid fights as much as possible, but I'm not so good-natured as to release someone who came to attack me.
つまりあなたは敵であれ命を絶つなと言いたいのでしょ。そのような言葉には従いません。敵は倒すものです。それでもやめろというのであれば、令旨をもって私を律しなさい。
いや、そんなことっていうのはお前のことだ。女の子が剣なんて振り回すもんじゃない。怪我をしてるならなおさらだろう。ってそっか、本当に剣を持ってるかどうかはわからないんだっけ。いや、とにかくそういうのはダメだ。
Saber looks dumbfounded, as if taken aback. How long were we standing like that?
で、いつになったら剣を下げてくれるのかしらね、セイバーさんは。
The figure in the ground suddenly speaks. Saber suddenly concentrates her attention on her sword.
諦めなさい。 敵を前にして下げる権はありません。
あなたのマスターは下げろって言ってるのに。へえ、セイバーとマーロンサーバントが主に逆らうって言うんだ。
Saber grits her teeth, but Saber lowers her sword and relaxes. Saber's hostility disappears, so she must have put away her sword as well.
さ、なら立ってもいいのよね、私。
The one on the ground stands up. She looks shameless, brushing her rear. And wait a second. That Soki person is definitely... What?
お前遠坂。
ええ。こんばんは、エミヤくん。
Tohsaka Rin replies with a big smile. That gets me. If she greets me normally like that, everything that happened up to now seems like a dream and... No. My head's about to explode. Jeez, how easy would things be if it did?
いや、だからさっきの魔術は遠坂が使ったってことだから、つまり
魔術師ってことでしょ。まあ、お互い似たようなもんだし、隠す必要もないわよね。
When she replies clearly like that, it makes me seem stupid for asking.
いいから話は中でしましょう。どうせ何も分かってないんでしょ、エミヤくんは。
So saying, she walks toward the entrance.
待て遠坂、何考えてんだお前。
And then, she turns and the smile on her face isn't like the previous one.
バカね、いろいろ考えてるわよ。だから話をしようって言ってるんじゃない。エミヤくん、突然の事態に驚くのもいいけど、素直に認めないと命取りって時もあるのよ。ちなみに今がその時だと分かって。
She glares at me.
分かればよろしい。それじゃあ行こっか、エミヤくんのお家にね。
Tohsaka goes through the gate.
なんかすげえ怒ってるぞあいつ。
It's only natural. She had a sword pointed at her until now, and she was almost killed.
いや、それにしたって。
Is it just my imagination, or is she totally unlike how she seems at school? So, I'm in a strange situation. In front of me is the school's #1 idol whom I admire, Tohsaka Rin. And following silently behind me is Saber, who calls herself a servant. Oh, the hallway suddenly feels like a different dimension. But I can't be a coward forever. I'm a magus, even if I am just an amateur. Tohsaka Rin, a magus just like me, is acting so fearlessly, so I have to act firmly too. But I can only work out a few things. First, about Saber, who's following me. I'm sure that she's some kind of familiar because she calls me master and I've made a contract with her. I hear that a familiar is some kind of an assistant for a magus. For the other self, a magus usually uses a small animal. That's simply because it's easy to take over the mind of something like a cat or a dog. Some magi use a human as their familiar, but they need enough magical energy to restrain a human at all times if they do such a thing. But if one constantly uses enough magical energy to control someone, it would take most of the magus' magical energy to sustain the familiar. But that'd be putting the cart before the horse. A familiar is something that assists the magus. To reduce the burden of the magus, it is commonly accepted that small animals are most suitable. So I've been taught, but...
Huh? 何かあるのですか、シロ。
いや、なんでもない。
Saber looks human no matter how you look at her, and she is clearly superior to me, her master. I don't have the magical energy to control such a person, and more than that, I don't have the magic circuit to summon a familiar. So Saber must be something rather unlike a familiar. She said she's a servant. I don't know what that is, but I think the man called Lancer and the man in red with Tohsaka were the same thing. Then it must be that Tohsaka is also called a master. I just saw her magic skills. If I'm worth half a magus, she is worth about 3 magi. Though of course there's no point in comparing me to other magi when I can only use the strengthening magic. Anyway, Tohsaka is an amazing magus. In any spiritually superior land is a family of magi that looks after that land. The Emiya family can only came to this land in Kiritsugu's generation, so we're just strangers. That's why I didn't know that the Tohsakas were magi, and I don't think Tohsaka knew that the Emiyas were a family of magi either. There are several magi in this town that I don't know about. If Lancer's the familiar of another magus in this town, then does it mean that I stuck my hand into a conflict between magi?
結構広いのね。和風っていうのも新鮮だな。あ、エミヤくん、そこが今？
Saying so, Tohsaka goes into the living room. Let's stop thinking for now. Let's just listen to Tohsaka's story. I turned the lights on. It's already past 1 in the morning.
あ、寒っ。何よ、窓ガラス全開してるじゃない。
仕方ないだろ。ランサーってやつに襲われたんだ。なりふり構ってられなかったんだよ。
ああ、そういうこと。じゃあセイバーを呼び出すまで一人であいつとやり合ってたの？
やり合ってなんかない。ただ一方的にやられただけだ。
Yeah, give it to Shiro. At least he's honest. He's like, I didn't fight him. He was kicking my...
変な見え張らないんだ。そっかそっか。ほんと見た目通りなんだ、エミヤくんって。
He doesn't put on appearances, apparently. Tohsaka walks over to the broken window. Tohsaka takes a piece of the shattered glass, takes a look at it, and... She cuts the tip of her finger and puts a drop of her blood onto the glass. What kind of magic is this? The shattered glass combines on its own and restores itself in a matter of seconds.
遠坂、今の。
ちょっとしたデモンストレーションよ。助けてもらったお礼にはならないけど、一応筋は通しておかないとね。もう私がやらなくともそっちで直したんだろうけど、こんなの魔力の無駄遣いでしょ。本当なら窓ガラスなんて取り替えれば済むけど、こんな寒い中で話すのもなんだし。
She says so as if it's something natural.
いや、すごいぞ遠坂。俺はそんなことできないからな。直してくれて感謝してる。
できないってそんなことないでしょ。ガラスの扱いなんて初歩の初歩だもの。たった数分前に割れたガラスの修復なんてどこの学派でも入門試験みたいなものでしょ。
そうなのか。俺は親父にしか教わったことがないからそういう基本とか処方とか知らないんだ。
は？
Tohsaka freezes. Damn it, it seems I said something I shouldn't have.
ちょっと待って。じゃあ何？エミヤくんは自分の工房の管理もできない半人前ってこと？
Workshop?
いや、工房なんて持ってないぞ、俺。
Well, I do have that shed as my training area, but I think Tohsaka would get mad if I called that my workshop.
まさかとは思うけど確認しとく。もしかしてあなた5大要素の扱いとかパスの作り方も知らない？
I honestly admit that I don't know. Wow, that's scary. She's so beautiful usually. She looks so so she looks pretty scary now.
何？じゃああなた素人？
そんなことないぞ。一応強化の魔術ぐらいは使える。
強化ってまた何とも半端なのを使うのね。で、それ以外はからっきしってわけ
？Tohsaka glares at me.
まあ端的に言えば多分。
Her glare makes my answer vague.
はあ、なんだってこんなやつにセイバーが呼び出されるのよ。まったく。
Oh, there is a reason. She sighs. It makes me mad. I haven't been playing around. I know I'm an amateur, but I don't think it matters right now.
まあいいわ。もう決まったことに不平をこぼしても始まらない。そんなことより今は借りを返さないと。
Tosaka takes a breath.
それじゃあ話を始めるけど、エミヤくん、自分がどんな立場にあるのか分かってないでしょ。
I nod.
やっぱり。まあ一目で分かったけど、一応確認しとかないとね。知ってる相手に説明するなんて心の贅肉だし。
I think that was a weird phrase, but I stay quiet as I think she'll beat me up if I make fun of her now.
率直に言うと、エミヤくんはマスターに選ばれたの。どちらかの手に精魂があるでしょ。手の甲とか腕とか、個人差はあるけど、3つの霊樹が刻まれているはず。それがマスターとしての証よ。
手の甲って、あ、これか。
そう。それはサーバントを律する呪文でもあるから大切にね。霊樹って言うんだけど、それがある限りはサーバントを従えていられるわ。
ある限りってどういうことだよ。
霊樹は絶対命令権なの。サーバントには自由意志があるって気づいていると思うけど、それをねじ曲げて絶対に言いつけを守らせる呪文がその刻印。発動に呪文は必要なくて、あなたが霊樹を使用するって思えば発動するから。ただし1回使うたびに1つずつ減っていくから、使うのなら2回だけにとどめなさい。で、その霊樹がなくなったらエミヤくんは殺されるだろうから、せいぜい注意して。
俺が殺される？
そうよ。マスターが他のマスターを倒すのが聖杯戦争の基本だから。そうして他の6人を倒したマスターには望みを叶える聖杯が与えられるの。
に？
Hold on. I don't understand what Tosaka is talking about at all. Like the part about masters killing other masters? And the part where the winner gets a holy grail? Wait, does she mean that holy grail?
まだわからない？要するにね、あなたはあるゲームに巻き込まれたのよ。聖杯戦争っていう7人のマスターの生存競争。他のマスターを一人残らず倒すまで終わらない魔術師同士の殺し合いに。
Tosaka Rin states so, as if it is the most natural thing in the world. That phrase swirls in my head. I've been chosen as a master? Tosaka says she's a master. Familiars called the servants. And a bow to the death between other magi called the Holy Grail War.
待て、なんだそれ。いきなり何言ってんだお前。
気持ちはわかるけど、私は事実を口にするだけよ。それにあなただって心の底では理解してるんじゃない？一度ならず二度までもサーバントに殺されかけて、自分はもう逃げられない立場なんだって。
That's...
あ、違うわね。殺されかけたんじゃなくて殺されたんだっけ。よく生き返ったわね、エミヤくん。
Tosaka's comment finishes me off. That's right. That guy killed me and I certainly died. No excuse nor negotiation was possible. I was just someone who had to be killed. So, even if I do deny this battle to the death that I cannot understand, the others in it will not withdraw.
納得した？ならもう少しだけ話をしてあげる。聖杯戦争というのが何であるか私もよくは知らない。ただ何十年に一度7人のマスターが選ばれ、マスターにはそれぞれサーバントが与えられるってことだけは確かよ。私もマスターに選ばれた一人だからサーバントと契約したし、あなただってセーバーと契約した。サーバントは聖杯戦争を勝ち残るために聖杯が与えた使い魔と考えなさい。で、マスターである私たちは自分のサーバントと協力して他のマスターを始末していくわけね。
Tosaka's description is too brief for me to understand, but there is one thing I do wonder about.
ちょっと待ってくれ。遠坂はセイバーを使い魔だって言うけど、俺にはそうは思えない。だって使い魔っていうのは猫とか鳥だろ。そりゃ人の幽霊を扱うやつもいるって言うけど、 セイバーはちゃんと体がある。それにとても使い魔なんかに見えない。